Welcome to the show today. So we are going to talk to Becca Sizemore. She is an IFBB Fitness Pro, an Olympian, and so many things that I can't even list them all off. So she's going to do that in just a second. But before we get to what you do in the sport now, Becca, I want to know how you got started. Everybody always asks me that question. So how did you get started or get interested in the sport at all?
So I was a gymnast growing up, and when I was about 10 years old, my sister and I were sitting flipping through the channels, and I saw fitness on TV, and I was like, I want to do that one day. And I kept telling my sister, I'm going to compete in fitness one day. She was like, yeah, okay. So, a couple years later, when I was in college, I was a college pole vaulter. And then I broke my wrist and was a strength and conditioning coach with the Lady Vols. And, I wanted something for me again, because my whole life, I had kind of defined myself by what sport I was. And so then it was kind of like I was lost on, I love helping others and I love coaching and everything like that. And it was just like, I wanted something for me. So I was talking to my sister one day. She was like, Becca, you said you were going to do this, so why don't you do it? So I started looking into shows, and all of the shows in Tennessee, nobody offered fitness. So I was like, well, I'll just do figure. So got into figure in 2010 and absolutely loved it. I ended up switching to women's physique in 2012. And then in 2014, I wanted to surprise Alan, who is the Tennessee state chairman. But back then he was just expediting shows. And I wanted to surprise him on his birthday at the Music City Muscle and do a fitness routine. And so I did an exhibition fitness routine and absolutely loved it. And then I went out to Alaska when I competed in my first fitness show, and then joined Tangi Johnson Save Fitness. And the rest is kind of history of that's when, I really got my start in fitness division and absolutely loving it. It's so much fun. And now, it's so awesome for me to see, all of the shows in Tennessee offering fitness, having fitness competitors.
You had to go all the way to Alaska to compete in fitness the first time. Like, that's crazy. And that's why we offer fitness here now. You're passionate about it. I just love fitness. Like, I couldn't do all that stuff that you guys do. So I just love it. And I love watching it. So I'm like, I'm always going to have fitness here.
We always try to have the most fun on stage. And, we have the opportunity. We have our 2-minute routine. So we really get to entertain the crowd and do a lot of the stuff that, a lot of us grew up in either dance or gymnastics or cheerleading, or a lot of us don't even have any sort of background in any of that. But it's one of those that we really get to kind of find our passion and really show it off on stage.
That's actually one thing I want to ask you is, can somebody compete in fitness that doesn't have any background in cheerleading, gymnastics, dance, any of that? Have you ever seen somebody do it successfully?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There are a lot of pros that compete and do very, very well that don't have any of that background. So, it's really just about, learning new tricks. And like for me, I have a gymnastics background, so I can go and flip on stage all I want, but I'm not going to place very well because it's not very entertaining and I'm not engaging with the crowd and the audience and the judges. So for me, my hardest is actually the performance side of it, of having the dance, because I don't have a dance background. So everything that I have to really work on is learning basically how to dance. So, any of that of, everybody's going to find what their strengths are, and then you kind of build on that.
So is there hope for me?
Yes.
Like, I don't know. No.
Let's do it. I think you should do a guest posing performance at your show.
You've seen me try to do a straddle hold before, if you remember. And
I do remember. I have video of that.
Okay. Keep that to yourself. Okay. So now, what all do you do now? I know you're not going to be able to list off everything, but just so you guys know, Becca does a ton. Like, she probably can't even think of everything that she does right now, but just in general, what all do you do with the sport now?
In general, one, I am a judge. The biggest thing that I do is I'm a tabulator or statistician. They're called both things, which is basically the scorekeeper. So anything that I kind of sum it up on, anything that's printed on a piece of paper at a show is basically what I do.
Good way to.
So it entails a lot, from making sure everybody's in the right class at check-ins to making sure that expediter sheets are correct, and making sure that all the judges have their sheets, and then when I get all of the judges scores, I enter it in the computer. I drop the highs and the lows, and then that gives the total score, and then get all that information to the MC and the trophy girls to give out awards.
It's like, I don't think anybody could even realizes like how much behind the scenes work goes into it. And that's all you,
Yes.
you get it
So
done.
then when I'm not doing that, I'm expediting or competing, or now we promote, Alan and I both promote shows. So a little bit of everything mixed in on there.
I love it. Are you going to compete again? Now you brought up competing.
Hopefully one day, I don't know, we'll see. Trying to get back into shape. On, the last 2 years I really spent focused on working and promoting and putting everything that I had into the
Yeah.
promotion side of shows.
Yeah.
So I kind of took my fitness, and I just really needed a break from the stage a little bit, and so kind of wanted to give my body a break, let some injuries heal, and then now I'm like, okay, I kind of want to start focusing on me, but just kind of taking it one day at a time. Of, yeah, I hope to be on stage one day, but you never know. We'll see.
But you're usually traveling like every weekend at a show, working a show. No.
Even in 2020, once July hit, we were kind of off and running of working shows every weekend. So normally we work 35 to 42 shows a year. And I think last year in 2020, we ended up with like 23, I think.
That's 52 weeks in a year. And that's like, just to give everybody a perspective there, that's like all the weekends almost.
It's like all the weekends. And, it's funny because, a lot of people go to a show, like when they go to watch a show, they leave late Friday, they go see the show on Saturday, they have a break between shows, and then Sunday they get up in the morning and leave and head back. Well, for me, we either get there Thursday or Friday before the show, and then we're hit the ground running, and there's really not a break until after Sunday's over.
So while we're kind of talking about, you already kind of hit on the judging, how the judging works and how the tabulating the scores works, but I want to go back to that just to go into it a little bit more, to talk about how the judging works. And like from your point of view, you're the one calculating them all basically. And there's so many misconceptions around this. And I think if people understood how it worked a little bit better, I don't know, there would be less, what's the word I'm looking for? Let's talk about politics and all this stuff. Like, you guys have no idea.
Yeah,
So,
no, there's not politics. I can
yeah. So because Becca is the one that sees the scores coming in and enters them in the computer, and then that does the work for them. It's changed. So I'm not gonna talk anymore about that. I'm gonna let you explain that. I'm like, you go ahead. So I'll talk about how the judging works first. Just, this is real brief overview.
Yep.
So the judges on the judging panel, let's say there's 5 girls that come out in a class. Now the judge isn't thinking in their head, okay, we've got this specific criteria, muscularity, conditioning, symmetry. They're not judging each criteria like separately for each individual. They're taking all the criteria for that division in their mind, basically, and then looking at what's in front of them on stage, comparing them, and then figuring out who fits closest to that and placing them first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So that's how it goes. That's how the judging works.
All right. So I'm going to back up even just one step. So normally on a panel, there's either 5 judges and a head judge. And if there's 5 judges and the head judge, normally the head judge is not actually scoring. The head judge is just moving everybody around on stage, getting feedback from the other judges of who they want to see next to somebody, and stuff like that. So that's kind of a little bit more on how many people's on the panel. That the head judge sometimes isn't necessarily always judging. If they're the ones calling the class and there's 5 other judges on the panel, then that's kind of where the scores come from. So when I get the scores, I enter in all the scores into the computer. So I'll enter, like, everybody's judged 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in that order, whatever. So I go and enter in all those scores, and then I hit a calculate button, and it drops the high and the low. and then it spits out what total score is after that. So if there's 5 judges on a panel, we drop a high and a low. A perfect score would be 3. So then the lowest number,
because
the lowest number ends up in first place.
right. No, so that's like, I had no idea, like that's how the judging worked for like at least the first 2, 3, 4 years I competed, maybe longer, but it's just so helpful to know like these little things and how everything works.
And with that too, I sit there and I look at all of the, judges' scores. A lot of the times, like one judge may have somebody first, another judge may have them second. The rest of the judges have somebody first. That's fine. That's normal. You will see that. What you don't see and what people say happens is they're saying, oh, well, this judge doesn't like me. Well, first of all, if a judge doesn't like you, that would mean like if every judge had you first and one judge had you fifth, I'd see that. They don't do that. I can tell you the judges absolutely do not do that. The judges judge you fairly.
And it makes
no matter
the judge
what.
look bad. Like if I'm judging a show and like, okay, I don't like somebody, I want to put them last, and everybody else had them at like first or second, and I had them at fifth or sixth, then I look like an idiot.
And if something were ever off like that, I am told I am supposed to report that to the head judge and make sure. So, and again, I've never had to do that because I've never seen that happen ever. And I've been tabulating since 2012.
Judging explained. Good. Glad we could clear that up. So I want to switch gears to another topic because I've been getting a lot of questions in regards to specifically the Nashville Fit Show and it being a pro show and a national qualifier. And there's a lot of confusion on what the heck is a national qualifier, what's a national show, what's a pro qualifier, can I turn pro at the Nashville Fit Show, all this other stuff. So let's go through that on like how to advance from basically first show NPC to an IFBB Pro. And first, it starts with a non-national qualifier. Are there many non-national qualifiers left though?
There are not many. I know there's not any in Tennessee. A couple of surrounding states might still have one, but most of the shows are national qualifiers. Okay. But as an athlete, that is definitely something you want to know going into the show. If you are trying to get nationally qualified, you need to make sure that you know that you are competing in a national qualifying show.
Right. And that used to be a big deal too, but now there's just not that many non-national qualifiers out there, so it's not as big of a deal. So basically a national qualifier is going to be, I'll call it the first step because it's still on a local level. And the rules have changed, so I'll let you correct me if I'm wrong, but because of COVID and a lot of shows being canceled last year, they changed the qualification back to the top 5 in the open class qualify for nationals. And so it used to be top 2, but now it's top 5 of the open class only. And when you qualify, I've gotten a lot of questions about this too, Becca, like the length of time. So let's say somebody competed in the Nashville Fit Show last October, 2020. How long are they qualified for?
They are qualified for the remainder of 2020 and all of 2021.
Okay. So it's not a 1 year
It's not August to August. It's right. August to December 31st of the next year.
Okay. So that's a good thing for people to know if they're trying to compete at the national level. Okay. So what comes after the national qualifier? You get qualified, then what?
Then you compete at the national show. Now, here's the kicker of this. Get judges' feedback. If you placed, maybe, you placed 5th in your class, yes, you're nationally qualified. That does not always mean that you are ready to compete in a national show. So get judges' feedback. Ask the judges if they feel like that you're ready to compete at a national show. Now, you could be in a class and, hey, all 5 of those girls look like they need to go to nationals. So I'm not saying if you placed 5th, don't go to nationals, but just know that get that judge's feedback. Ask them, hey, are you ready? Because national level shows are expensive and it's something that you need to plan for. I hate seeing girls or guys for that matter, be nationally qualified. Hey, I'm going to go compete at a national show, spend a lot of money, and get tied for 16th place, because after 16th, they stop placing. So you want to make sure that you are ready for that national level when you go there.
But if you get 16th place, you can always get feedback and see what you need
Yes.
from there. So
Yes.
always get feedback.
Don't ever get discouraged by placing, ever.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's like the story of my life, because it's like there's so many times when I placed like so bad, and then I came into the very next show and I like won the show, or top 3, top 5, and I'm sure we all have. So it's like you can't let a placing from a show determine what you do from there. Sometimes you just have to keep going, and depends on who shows up. It depends on so many things. So just have to keep going. That's good advice. So there's 7 shows that are pro qualifiers. So just to clear up the terminology, a national level show and a pro qualifier are the same thing for everybody out there. So basically you can turn pro at a national level show. And there's 7 of those. Now, if you include teen collegiate and masters nationals, which you have to meet the age requirement to compete in that one. But besides that one, there are 6 other pro qualifiers or national level shows that you can get your pro card at. And they all have different, they all give away a different amount of pro cards. And you can find that we won't go through it. It's on npcnewsonline.com. I guess we can run through them. It's Junior USA's, Junior Nationals, Universe. Is it Team Universe still, or is it just Universe?
Just Universe.
Just Universe. Okay. It used to be Team Universe. And then you've got the Teen Collegiate Masters Nationals. Then you've got USA's, the USA Championships, North Americans, and then Nationals.
Yes.
Is that all of them? Okay.
Make sure on the pro qualifiers or the national level shows, make sure you know what places in your specific division are getting pro cards, because that not only does that change from show to show, but it also changes from division to division. So bikini and figure don't always give the same number of pro cards at that show.
Right. So let's say that you go compete at a national level show, you earn your pro card. Then the next step would be, of course, to compete at a pro level show or a pro show. And that is what the Nashville Fit Show is this year, as well as the Nashville Night of Champions. We both have pro divisions, so pros can compete there. And then every pro's dream, or most pros' dream, is to get to the Olympia after that point. So that's kind of the succession of the sport from amateur to pro. Once you turn pro, it's like Olympia, the Super Bowl of the bodybuilding industry. That's the end all be all, basically. Yes. So that's it. The last thing, or the last couple of things I want to ask you, we're switching gears again. If there's one piece of advice that you could give a brand new competitor, somebody new in the sport, what advice would you give them?
Don't rush the process. Take everything slow, get all of the education that you can on everything, and just enjoy the process and have fun with it. When you're at your first show, you want to go and have fun. Don't put so much stress on yourself of having to be perfect or having to look a certain way or feeling like, oh, I'm going to look like the pros do. Some people that does happen, but other people, we all start somewhere. Yeah. So let yourself be a beginner. Let yourself start. Get on stage, get the experience, meet people, and just have fun with it.
That's really good advice. Your first show is not going to be your best show. Just remember that. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Becca. I think you really helped explain a lot of things today and clear up some confusion. So thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.